Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. It is fantastic to have you here as ever because today is part 12 of making a cavalry saber. We've been working on this thing for a month now. Just a huge amount of time has gone into it so far, and one of the things that has taken the most time has been the guard. Now, Will has taken the helm on the making of this guard, and the making of this guard has all been in wax. 2 weeks of almost non-stop work on this piece of wax that we then decided to encase and bury. This is investment. This is what holds the wax before we burn out the wax that you spent 2 weeks working on.
But we have a backup, don't worry.
We do have the silicone mold, but the burning out of the wax is the job for today. I should not be treating this so carelessly. We need to build a new oven to melt out that wax and get it ready to be able to pour the brass today. So thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy. It's time to go playing with some dangerous wool respirator on and build ourselves a new oven. Perfect. We have here, Will?
We have the super high-tech, very proper burnout kiln for melting out and burning out the wax. For the guard, this big old honkin' piece of plaster and wax and steel.
So this is going to go inside this little secondary chamber, I guess, right?
Because that cable is such a good insulator, we've got that second layer around it. It won't get as hot as the rest of the chamber.
Because we only need to get this thing to like 350 degrees Fahrenheit for the first little bit.
Yeah.
And then we have to raise the temperature. So then we'll probably take that partition out, right?
Exactly, something like that. We'll figure it out. We've got the thermocouple in there, so we'll be able to monitor what's going on. We might need to put something on the top. We might need to open it up a little bit more. We'll see.
Fantastic. So, should we get it lit?
Yeah.
Now again, Will had his respirator on while he was working with this wool, this ceramic blanket. It's not something you want to mess with and have fibers disturbed without having breathing protection, because it's dangerous stuff. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Get this lit, and then we're going to step away. There we go.
There it is.
Right, you can't hardly tell, but it's lit. So hopefully that'll start warming up.
So while that wax is melting out and burning out, I'm going to be trying a test piece to see if we can do this fluted silver wrapped handle that we see on a lot of the historical examples. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut up this piece of ironwood. It already has a crack running through it, so it's kind of a piece of scrap anyway. We've got a couple other pieces that we can use for the actual handle itself. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out a section about 2 inches long, 2.5 inches long or so, and try that fluting, and then I'm going to try pounding that thin silver around into the fluting. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, but should turn out pretty cool if it ends up working. So we need 13 inches of 5/8 inch silver. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out of this. I'm going to go ahead and mark it out first, and then I'm not sure the best way to cut it. We'll figure that out when we get there. Okay, what's the best way to cut this? I don't think we can do, oh yeah, we'll be able to do it on the bandsaw. So I have absolutely no idea how this is going to work. Zero experience with anything remotely like this. We'll see how it goes. Don't know how they managed it, but that's just simply not going to work. So the original plan was to follow the historical footsteps of these swords and to have silver wrapped around the fluted handles. However, here's the problem. We suck at doing sheet silver work, and by we I mean me, because
You also mean me.
Probably you also.
I have no idea how to do it either.
Exactly. Ugh.
None of us have any idea how to do the silver work, so it's not particularly easy. It'd probably be like...
I tried.
Yeah.
I gave it a shot. I tried bending it around these flutes, and it's very difficult to get this and then to bend it into place around the wood, and you can't pre-bend it, because if you have the pre-bend, then you can't bend the piece. We did, however, come up with a solution, and that is Alec is having some faux ivory paper, aged paper micarta flown in, overnighted from Minnesota. It looks fantastic. It's this nice off-white cream kind of color, and it should look fantastic with some nice twisted gold wire on the inside of those flutes.
Yes. So it's going to be a good compromise. Not going to have the silver, and we've gone pretty far ahead of our comfort zones already, so I think that we can accept this compromise. Now, the sword itself still needs a couple more tweaks to do on it, right? We need to round out the tang. Ow. A little more grinding?
No more grinding. So I've started the hand sanding on the blade here. We're at 600 grit on one of them. It's this one. Because this one still has some scratches.
You know we have Sharpies for this very reason.
I've never found the abrasive quality of a Sharpie to be quite good enough for hand sanding steel.
That wasn't.
Usually prefer sandpaper myself. I don't know about you Brits. So what we've got to do now is just make this bevel about 20 thousandths of an inch wider, because that's how much shorter it is than the other side. After I finish with that, I'm going to go ahead and round out the tang a little bit more. Round out that part. You can see that the very end is way thicker than the rest of it. We also need to draw back the temper on.
You know, that's a great idea. We probably should have done that about a week and 4 weeks ago.
A week and 4 weeks ago.
A week and 4 weeks.
So I've got this wet cloth wrapped around the blade here. I'm gonna go ahead, clamp it in the vise, and get ready to draw back the temper on this tang here.
It's minus 20 degrees Celsius, it's snowing, and those investments should be ready for us to pour brass into, which means somehow we need to keep this hot while heating up a crucible, this right here, full of brass, while that is the only propane hose in the workshop. That's the oxypropane torch. I've got my crucible of brass ready. I've got Will's forge up on end. I'm gonna put the brass inside, we're gonna get the forge lit, and we're gonna be pouring brass in no time at all. So there's this material that's burning in there, and it's just really worrying me. It makes me worry not only for the dangers, but also for the potential that this isn't just a piece of brass. There's something else in there, contaminants that we might not want in this. I'm really, really worried about this. A lot of debris up there, and it's not just, you know, dross. It's this kind of foamy, furry looking whitey green stuff in there. I think this might have been because it was too hot, potentially. Or the material we have isn't just brass, it's brass coated in something that was pretty dirty looking. That just looks really worrying, and I don't think we want to be pouring that into that guard. Okie doke, it is the next day. We're all set up. We are ready to light the forge with the crucible. We've done a little bit of learning. We found out that green flame is burning copper.
Which I actually knew that, I just didn't think about it.
Like science class.
Yeah,
I was once at a science class.
It just looks so different when it's like this like seafoam green, like witch's brew type flame. It's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. The white smoke is not so cool though. That's zinc, which is a great way to get yourself some metal fume fever.
Nice.
Metal fume fever doesn't sound too fun, so we'll avoid the respiratory illnesses. Brass founder's ague, I think is what it said on Wikipedia. Common brass founder's disease, because brass has zinc in it, which is very dangerous. Anyway, we're gonna light the forge.
Okay, are we ready?
All right, this is going off. That's off.
Are we ready?
We're ready. Oh.
There we go. Oh my goodness. Woo! The brass got down to here.
Oh, shoot.
The brass is on this side here.
That's solid brass.
There is solid brass at the bottom of our mold. This is not good at all. My worry is our investment was so thick on the edges that we have a hole into the steel and it just sank all the way through. Proof is going to be in putting it in water. This is nerve-wracking. This is 2 weeks of Will's time casting this wax.
All clear?
Yep.
I don't think there's any way that works.
Neither. I think this is kaput. I think this is, to have the brass come down like that.
It all came out. It's not like there was a little bit that came out.
It was everything. So it must have found a path through to the edge of the investment,
yeah,
and then just all come out. Oh no. Oh no.
Well, there's our answer.
You can see right in here where the brass came down, then find its way out of the investment, just because we were so tight on space that we must have been just too close.
I don't think it was touching though.
Well, I mean, it's probably just the fact that we had such thin amounts of investment there.
Oy, oy.
That's the price of trying to make do.
What do you say we get the right equipment for it for the next one?
It's really what it comes down to, is not having the right equipment.
This is just horrendous.
That is a great shame.
Yep. All right, let's get started on that next guard.
Pretty much. Gotta learn how to inject wax into a silicone mold.
Great.
This is a great shame. This is all we have to show of 2 weeks of work. And this is really, it's the result of not doing things the right way. It's the result of trying to make things work without the exact right equipment, and there is a risk to that. Sometimes the risk has a reward, sometimes there is no payoff. Here, there is no payoff, other than a great lesson learned. It's just not the right size flask for the piece. If we had had a larger flask, we would have been just fine. That all boils down to the vacuum chamber being too small. Thankfully, we now know vacuum chamber, very overbuilt. And so I did not need to make it so small out of fear for not having it be strong enough. What we need is a much bigger flask, so the investment is much better supported, because the investment is not a very strong material itself. And what we're gonna do on the next episodes is we're gonna take the silicone molds and we're gonna try injecting wax into here so that we can make another wax piece to burn out again, hopefully do a better pour on. So we're gonna be getting started with that. Thank you for watching. Been a great shame, but regardless, a great joy to bring you along, share our failings and our lessons with you. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.